input for incomplete, or will it be seen as will it be seen as you being lazy if you don't do it?
If you your phone.
So if I've got my sample size in terms of complete data sets.
Yes.
Do I still need to worry about the incomplete one, or can I discard it? And if I discard it, will it be viewed as me being lazy, not trying to substitute using the series mean?
Oh yeah, that is the most important part, because most of the time we try to find ways to keep the data, because you find that the sample that we have is small. But if you've exceeded your targeted sample size, then you can afford to delete. So it's like yours, you've got more than enough. So if you've got maybe 10 incomplete, it's not going to really affect your sample size. You will still be within. So if that is the case, then you can delete them and you don't have to do the series mean and imputing the data. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then in terms of cross tabulation, I'll show you there is a tab for cross tabulation on SPSS. So you can do it from SPSS if you want to go that route. And then in terms of comparison, you can compare using split file. And also you can compare using t-test. It also depends what you are comparing or what you're looking at. But if it is the analysis that you are comparing, that you want to see maybe a certain variable between either genders or between age or whatever that you are comparing with, you can use the independent t-test sample testing. I'll show you how to do that. Then you can be able to compare a specific variable in terms of their means as to how one group is different from the other. And then in terms of when you do your factor analysis, so what happens is obviously the blank suggests that the loading is lower than your cutoff. So if you put your cutoff, let's say you want all to load at 0.4, whatever that does not load at 0.4, if you selected the option to suppress lower loadings, it will show blank. But the blank does not mean there's nothing. What it means that whatever that has loaded there has loaded lower than your cutoff. So therefore, according to your criterion, then it does not qualify to belong to that, to any of the factors that you have. If you get a negative loading, what it means is that, let's say you've got 5 items within a specific factor, and then one of those 5 items then shows a negative loading. You need to go back to your questions that you have asked and check that you did not ask the question in a reverse order. And then if you have asked it in a reverse order, let's say all your questions, maybe you were asking people about being innovative. All of them, they had to agree if they are innovative. But then you had one question that asked them about not being innovative. So if they agree on that question, they meaning they are not being innovative. So you'll find that then that one that is opposite direction in terms of how you phrased the question, then that one will load negatively. So what you need to do is go back to your coding and go change all the ones. If you had a scale of 1 to 7, so what you're gonna do, you're going to change all the 1s to 7, all the 2s to 6, and just reverse the coding and then run again. Then it should load positively after that. And then in terms of cross-loading, so what happens with cross-loading, what it means is that you don't have clear divergence. So if one item loads more or less, it loads above your cutoff for more than one factor, that means there's no clear divergence, so it is wanting to belong to more than one factor. So you need to let that item go, or else if maybe there's a significant difference in terms of how it's loading, you can look at all your loadings and see if, let's say, it loads at 0.4 something on both on two factors. So what you will need to do is to check the other loadings as well. That is, if you want to keep that item, to check the other loadings as well and see if maybe you can afford to move your cutoff, let's say, to 0.45 instead. And then it will keep one in one factor and then cut off the other. But if you can't do that, then maybe they are too close to each other. Even if when you go to 0.45, they will still load, then we'll just have to throw away that item. And that's the reason that I always recommend that for each construct, try to have more than 3 questions, so that if you have to let go of one question, you're still within the minimum of 3. So that, because then if you had only 3 items or questions, and then you've got this one that then loads everywhere, you have to let it go. Then we are left with 2 items. Then that means you have to let go of that whole construct. So you can't keep that factor when it's lower than the cutoff. So those are the things. So there's multiple things you look at the same time. Sometimes you find that adjusting the number of factors that you're looking at changes that issue. So it's a matter of really trial and error kind of a thing. So you change this, you check what happens, you change that, you check what happens, until you get to a comfortable space. So changing the number of factors that we are extracting, changing the cutoff, deleting those that don't load anywhere, deleting those that cross-load, reversing those that loads negatively. All those things, as you do them, then the pattern matrix keep on changing. The component, if using component analysis, keeps on changing, and then you keep on tweaking it until you get to a clean one.
Thanks. Most of the time, what's the acceptable cutoff?
It depends how good your data is, the relationship between the items. Most people recommend 0.4, but there are some who can go as much as 0.3 if the relationship between the items within a factor are not good. But 0.4 you'll find is more or less the common one. If you've got very good inter-items relationship, you can even go to 0.5. So you play around and see the interrelations between your items, and then to see which cutoff will work for you. So, but ideally, I recommend 0.4. Most studies do 0.4. You can do 0.3 if you are under pressure and nothing is working. You can do 0.5 if you've got very high interrelationships. But then you find that there's a 0.4 that keeps disturbing and getting into other factors that you don't want it to get into. So you just play around with the cutoffs until you see where you get the clean one.
Thank you.
And then the reliability one, most of the time you find that when you start with the factor analysis, you find that you really won't have to change the reliability. But if you have deleted items, then you can go back and double check. It's up to you. You can go back and double check if it still holds. Most of the time it should, mostly if something is valid and then you move 1 or 2 things, it tends not to make too much of a difference. But for your own comfort, you can go back and double check. But also another thing that you can do so that you don't create a lot of work for yourself is that if you for an example, you've got one item that the table suggests if you delete it is going to improve your reliability scale, but your scale was already, I mean, your cron batch was already more than 0.7 or was already at 0.8. It's already good enough. So if it says when you change, it's going to give you maybe 0.82 or something like that, it's not worth the time to have to rerun and go back, check exploratory factor analysis. So normally I say if you're already at 0.8 and then you've got suggestions that is going to change your reliability with a very small point something decimal, it's just leave it because you've already met the requirement for a reliable scale. But then if it's you are at 0.6 and then it tells you you're going to get at 0.7, then it's worth deleting and changing and then going back and checking the validity.
Thank you.
Okay, Shelley.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. J, and good morning, everyone. Okay, first of all, Rinky says I must apologize on her behalf. She's at a funeral, she won't be able to attend, Dr. J. And then the questions I had were actually two. One is the cleaning of the data. It's the same question as Lashan. If you have uncompleted questionnaires, what do? You have 21 questions and only 19 of them have been answered. Do you delete the whole questionnaire or do you leave it as is? That's one question. And then the second one is, I don't want to wait until it's too late. I want to run my pilot testing, so I would like to know which data analysis reports are key for me to indicate that my instrument is well designed to answer my research question. Yeah, those are the two questions I have.
Okay. So did when I was answering Lashan, did it answer your question on cleaning the data?
Yes, I'm happy with that.
Okay. So when you do the pilot study, really the most thing that you want to see is if you've got mostly is the reliability and the validity of your constructs. So that's what you mainly want to see. Because the other things in terms of your hypothesis testing, that one, whatever the result you get, that's what the result is. But the main thing really is you want to see that the questions you purported to be asking, to be measuring a certain constructs, did they really measure that, and are they reliable? So that's the biggest part that you want to check if you collect a few and you want to just test. Sometimes because when you've got a few items, obviously it will violate the sample adequacy requirement or assumption. You might find that it does not give you really good result, but it will give you a sense as to whether it's worth continuing with it. Lashan did a pilot. Do you want to share your experience, Lashan, maybe as to how you found it? Was it useful, and what are the key things that you found? Lashan, you're on mute. Okay, he probably went to get coffee. We'll come back to him then later.
Okay.
Okay. So those were just the two questions, Shelley, né?
Yes, that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Next, who wants to go next? Kathy, I'm going to call names now because I need to get a sense of everybody. What are you hoping to get from this? Because I'm not going to cover everything just blindly.
Well, I think for me right now, I'm still quite lost, to be honest with you. You know, I haven't started with collecting data, and everything is quite technical for me. So I'm really just hoping to get some sort of clarity. But I will also be watching some more videos to follow up, and I have been watching some of your videos as well. But yeah, I'm really a bit, to be honest, very lost. So I'll just follow what is being discussed, and whatever it's not making sense for me, then I will just try and do my own sort of research. I hope that's okay.
No, that's okay. Soli?
Dr. J, mine was similar. I think we answered a lot in terms of when you responded to Lashan, because it was around dealing with the gaps in data and how you would look onto managing that. And I looked into some of the videos that you gave. I was able to actually reach that and all those other things, and basically also ensuring the integrity. As you had indicated, what is key in determining how you either fill up the data or you decide to discard it. So that was the major area for me that I was concerned, and you did answer adequately to that, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, so it's like your day is made, so you can like log off and go.
No, not. There's still an essential aspects of. I'm still doing a lot of work around that. Testing looking at your descriptive tests and all those other things, and whatever. But I think that was the essential element when I looked at it. That for me was presenting a problem. How do you deal with those gaps and how do you manage them? And I was able to go through. I think there are 2 or 3 videos that you showed that I've been able to go through and also get other links to them to actually ensure that I cover that. But essentially, the discussion here is also enriching. So I'm part of this throughout.
Okay, great. And Nebakazi?
Hi, Dr. J. As you know, my situation is also slightly different. I haven't started data collection, so for me, a lot of this is still in theory. I'm hoping that when I start getting into that phase of chapter 4, then I'll be able to revisit, even some of the questions that were asked here, and then they'll make practical sense in my context. So for now, it's me just hoping to sponge as much as I can and add to the missing areas of this puzzle, which is still very scrambled for now.
Okay. Sebastian? Sebastian, can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me, Dr. J?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. I'm one of the previous respondent. I'm one that says, listen, my day has been made, because I was just struggling with the exploratory factor analysis, the negative loading, as well as loading on 2 factors. You answer that for me.
Okay.
So
Great.
for me, like you said, my day has been made. I can log off and can finish off.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Shelly has already spoken. The viewer has spoken. Tuli?
Hi, Dr. J. Hi, everyone. So I'm similar to Begazi and I can't remember, Kathy, yes. So I'm still waiting approvals to run the pilot because of the institutions I've selected. Lots of approvals that need done before I can even start the pilot. So yeah, so it's still a maze. So I'm hoping that this morning will help me as well, but the videos are helping. So this is a new area, so approaching it with that learning mindset. So I'm looking forward to just hearing a bit more. Shelley's question was quite useful on running the pilot test. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to just getting further clarity so that when I get to that point, there's light.
Okay. And also remember, a pilot is not a must. Ne? You do a pilot when you can afford to do the pilot time-wise. So for the guys who need to graduate next year, so your submission is end of February. So you might want to think very wisely as to whether you want to do a pilot or just go with it. Or do the pilot while the data is running. So like when you do Quants, you can let the data continue collecting the data while checking and tweaking some of the things, but you don't have much time. Remember, December is like that month doesn't exist. So you can't get data in December, mostly also January. So you need to have your data now in October. We've got the workshop in November where you should have your data already so that workshop can also be useful for you. So if you need to graduate next year, submit in February, you need to really treat your data collection as a kind of like an emergency issue, because data collection takes long. You are not going to collect data in 1 week. It can take months. So you really need to make sure that you rush that, because otherwise you're gonna end up get to December without data. People don't want to open their laptops and be looking at questionnaires in December. And once you get to January without a first draft of your whole report, you are stuck. So you need to look at the time. If you don't have a project plan where you've got timelines, you need to do that now. Writing the report takes time. So don't think you're gonna write it in a week. You need some time. Data collection can take as long as 3 months, depending on your networks and responses and all those kind of things. So you need to take all those things into consideration. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in trouble. I see Lashan is back. Lashan, I wanted you to share a bit on the pilot. When you did the pilot, any tips, any challenges, or was it good?
Yeah,
how long did it take you and all that?
Okay, so Dr. J, as you remember, my first instrument was derived out of literature, not necessarily scales that were already used. So I did a first pilot, and we got 17 responses. It took about 2 weeks to get those responses. And we found that there was no correlation and a whole lot of data issues. You therefore advise that I go back and look for scales that have already been tested. And we managed to find mentorship scales and coaching characteristic scales that I used. Ran a pilot again, and this time we used 10 people, and the results were much better. So I finally went on with the second instrument that I developed, and having run the factor analysis and the reliability analysis, I think I am good to go with regard to the rest of my dissertation now. So from a pilot point of view, it's very important in determining whether your instrument is going to give you the results at the end, rather than doing the entire thing and then realizing that the data is not worthwhile.
Okay, thanks for that. How many months did it take you to collect your data, like the full data set?
I started in August, and I finished, was it about the 15th of September?
Okay. So what, 2 months?
Yeah, about 2 months.
Okay. Sebastian, you've already collected data. And how long did it take you to collect your data?
My data took some time, took a long time to collect. It took more than the 3 months that you're mentioning, Dr. J. Specifically because of the area that I'm researching.
Okay.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just want the guys who have been collected to get a sense.
So
Because
I think it's on your
sometimes
network as well, who you have as a network, because I used national companies and the SABPP, which is the professional body for human resource practitioners. So it helps in speeding up the process. But if you don't have those networks, it could take much longer.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes students hear better when their fellow students tell them how long it takes. Because when I say it can take you 3 months, they think I'm just trying to scare them. They know they can manage. So if they hear from you, maybe it will make they'll realize the urgency. But we are already in October, kind of now. Nebakazi?
So where I'm stuck is that ethical clearance approval, well, amongst the other complication that I have. How long is that supposed to take? Because I submitted that on the 6th of September.
Oh yeah, your ethical clearance is a different one because it goes the PhD route clearance. So that one gets done from main campus. So I'm not sure of their dates. You can ask Mabato. She should be able to share, because it depends when their meetings are happening. But at the same time, also, we still need to sort out the other panel. I'm hoping maybe by Monday I can get some responses from the other guys to see, because if you are moving from MMR to PhD, the study will change a bit. So collecting data now won't be wise, because we might need to change some of the things. So you might want to hold on to that. You can get the clearance, but just hold on to collecting data until the second panel.
All right. Thanks, Dr. G.
Okay. Who hasn't spoken? Or CISP, I don't know whether I know you're still at very early stage. Do you have anything specific you want to know?
No, Dr. J, as the younger generation would say, I'm here for the comments. I'd like to hear what those who are advanced are experiencing, so I can prepare myself. But a lively and lovely discussion. Thank you, coaches.
By the way, we don't have coaches only. It's a mix. I supervise from all corners of the world. So we've got coaches, we've got entrepreneurs, we've got digital guys. So yeah, so don't exclude them.
Thank you, people of the world.
Okay, has everybody, Yasir?
Doc?
Do you have anything specific you want me to cover?
No, I just want some advisement about the question, how we formulate the question is, and to get the respondents. Hello?
Okay, you want to repeat that?
Yeah, I thought, is it including us MMNVC this meeting? Because I just saw the link, I thought maybe I might join you and get some advisement about the data collection.
So basically, I don't know, maybe you missed the communication on the group. So we're looking at data analysis, because the other MM programs, they don't have a stats module like you guys have.
Yeah. I got it.
You might find that what we cover is what we covered with you guys in class, because you have a fully fledged module on stats. So they don't have. So they are at data analysis stage. So I'm helping them with understanding the data analysis.
Yeah.
Submitting next year. But you're welcome to stay if necessary.
No. I just thought I might get some advice.
Okay, great.
Thank you anyway.
Okay, finally, my other laptop is up. Just give me a minute.
Dr. Chair, once you're sorting the laptop, can you also touch on the different types of regression? So I know linear is quite commonly used, but I see that there's others, and I'm not sure when you use which one.
Okay, come again. I missed that. I was putting my headphones on.
Not a problem. I said if you could also touch on the different types of regression analysis. I know linear is quite common, but what other ones should we be looking at?
Okay, do that. So let's go through the process together. Then it will cover some of the things that you asked that I couldn't answer just high level like that. First, I didn't prepare to talk about the structure of chapter 4, but I just want to get, I think I've got a slide that I have on that, just high level, to say how you move from chapter 1 to 3, 4, 5 until the last chapter, and how the flow goes for all of them. So there's no chapter that is just on its own. All of the chapters are linked. And if you miss that alignment or you miss that link, then you've got a problem. So just a minute for me just to find the slide.